Over the past few decades, cameras went from being very much a professional device or a luxury item to being something most everyone has on them at all times. As such, cameras are filming more than ever before, and with our phones, body cams, CCTV, even cameras installed in our doorbells, fewer and fewer events escape being captured on video. It's really one of history's greatest inventions. Now we often don't need to rely so strongly on hearsay to figure out what happened during a specific incident, because nothing tells a clearer story than raw footage. It's a true blessing of human ingenuity. But sometimes, this blessing turns into more of a curse when something terrifying gets caught on camera, and as the footage spreads from person to person like a virus, it often leaves many people unsettled or even traumatized, wishing that they'd never hit play on the video at all. I'm Rob Gavigan, and I'll be guiding you through 10 real, terrifying events caught on camera. If you like dark topics such as this, be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications now, because I've got a lot more in store for you. Now, let's begin. Have you ever been to the circus? While you might expect to see dazzling acrobatics, clowns, and cute animal tricks, you probably don't expect to see a bear attack. Or at least the kids don't. But that's what made a Russian circus in 2019 so shocking. With great applause, a large bear walked a wheelbarrow out into the ring, much to the glee of the onlookers. But in an instant, things changed. The bear suddenly decides he's had enough of the performance. Without warning, he turns to attack his handler viciously. The incident was caught on camera by horrified spectators who can be heard screaming in the background as the bear mauls the man. For nearly a full minute, the bear swiped at his helpless handler and sunk his menacing teeth into his head and neck. Another man rushes to aid the handler, but his efforts are largely in vain. Fortunately, other circus workers eventually got the bear under control and pulled him off the handler. The man was ultimately able to break free from the bear's grasp and escape to safety. A 500-pound, unpredictable killing machine. Perfect for the circus, right? And now for a quick word from our sponsor.
It's been a year since I joined Hero Wars. On a summer day just like today, my faithful homies went to the forest and never returned. As it turned out, they were attacked by a bunch of accursed heroes, a red-headed she-fiend with a chain gun, her loyal priestess of light with a staff, a fiery demon with a reaper's scythe, and a ruthless knight clad in shining armor.
Oh my god, stop it. My new heads are still babies.
My servants fought with all they had, almost securing a victory, but all of a sudden, swords began raining down from the sky, shredding them to pieces. Watch this story unfold in Hero Wars. Join the game now and get a super chest with 5 top heroes. One of them is secret, as well as 600 emeralds and 30,000 gold. Scan the QR code on screen or download the game from the link in the description below, and I'll see you in Hero Wars.
Hey kids, you ever dream of being a legendary hero fighting hordes of battle-hardened enemies? Well, you could finally wake up with this episode's sponsor, Hero Wars. Hero Wars is an epic mobile fantasy RPG with all the sickest heroes you could ask for and so many wicked bosses to fight. You're gonna have endless amounts of fun playing this game, and with all the weapons and magic and mythical creatures and the battles, the bloody battles, you can't go wrong. And just by trying out Hero Wars, you're directly helping me make you more content. No risk, no commitment, just potential for fun. You're already probably on your phone, so check out Hero Wars by hitting up the links in the description below. It only takes a few seconds. Make those evil hordes tell stories of your fury. Keeping animals in captivity is one thing, but children? That's entirely next level, and our next video captures a harrowing escape in Riverside County, California. On January 14, 2018, police received a phone call from 17-year-old Jordan Turpin. When she claimed she ran away from home, officers assumed they were dealing with a case of classic teen angst, but this was far from a typical runaway situation. Body cam footage captured the initial conversation between Jordan and the responding officer, and it reveals the first sign that something about this teenage girl and her family was very, very wrong.
My two little sisters right now are chained up.
They're chained up?
Yes.
Where are they chained up at?
On their bed. Now, Mother didn't chain them up just to be mean. Okay. They're chained up because they stole Mother's food. But I'm sorry if I talk too much. Okay. I've never talked to anybody out there, so I've never been alone with a person, so this is very hard for me to talk.
Other officers responded by performing a wellness check on the home. The following footage captures what police have since described as a house of horrors. The home was putrid, rotting food, sweltering heat, and the pungent odor of excrement overwhelmed officers as they began to explore the house. Jordan's parents, David and Louise Turpin, explained they had 13 children in the home, and officers immediately began to search for each of them. The children were gaunt and filthy, covered in dirt and feces. Then, police officers noticed something they'd nearly missed, an obscured hallway hidden by boxes. When deputies enter the room at the end of the hallway, they discover an emaciated little boy chained to the bed. He had been bound there as punishment for stealing food. Like the other children, he was riddled with bruises, burns, and skin depressions from being shackled. The Turpins were then arrested, and police immediately took the children into foster care. David and Louise Turpin pled guilty to charges including false imprisonment and torture, and were sentenced to 25 years to life in separate prisons. Police officers are trained to deal with all sorts of unexpected and dangerous situations, but rarely do they come face to face with a suspect as brazen as this one. In February of 2022, police in Phoenix, Arizona responded to a report of a woman bleeding out at a residential home. A lone officer arrives to find a man standing in the doorway of the house with one arm hidden behind his back. He lures the officer toward him, urging him to hurry and help the injured woman. That's when things suddenly take a turn for the worse.
Come on! You're sucking our own blood. Come on, bro. Come on!
Who's all in the house?
Huh?
Who's all in the house?
It's me.
Who's you? I've been shot. No.
Finally, backup arrived to relieve the lone officer caught in the suspect's trap. 9 officers were injured in the crossfire, but they all managed to escape with their lives. Unfortunately, the woman inside, who turned out to be the suspect's girlfriend, wasn't so lucky. The suspect had shot her just before calling the police to the home, and she was already dead by the time officers arrived. The demented finally ended the entire horrific exchange of fire with police by taking his own life. If you're a horror movie buff like me, you've undoubtedly seen your share of Exorcist movies, but our next video wasn't produced on a Hollywood set. Instead, this cell phone camera footage captures what is purported to be an actual exorcism performed in 2016. The video, posted by a group whose name translates in English to Time for Truth, features a woman said to be possessed by a jinn. A jinn is an evil spiritual being that can attack humans when commanded by the devil. Is it possible that she's faking? Well, take a look at the video and you decide for yourself.
You see بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
A man reads in Arabic as the woman bares her teeth, hisses, and scratches at him.
Gözlerim, sözünü tutalım. Növbə sən, tərk elə qızın ağzından bədəni tərk elə, git kəndi. Cümləmizdən. Deyil, la ilahe illallah, git kəndi. Ha, getdin. Çox.
Finally, the demon gives one last performance before leaving the woman in peace. The ritual is certainly disturbing, but it leaves us to ponder our own mortality and whether there truly is another side of existence we aren't aware of, a place we cross to when we die, and whether or not things like that could be waiting for us there. While many supernatural events might be easy to write off as hoaxes, others seem to have unsettling legitimacy, especially when videos of the events are released by the United States government itself. In 2020, the U.S. Navy declassified footage of mysterious UFO activity, one of 3 such videos that the government has released. The so-called Tic Tac UFO video has been the subject of much speculation. In 2004, 2 decorated Navy pilots saw something that has defied all logic as we know it today after tracking reports of strange aircraft. The footage, which was captured by an infrared camera on board their aircraft, shows an unidentifiable object about 40 feet long and shaped like a Tic Tac mint. It moved rapidly and erratically through the sky, making sudden changes in direction and altitude. The pilots were so baffled by what they saw that they initially thought it might be a drone or some balloon, but after ruling out all known possibilities, they were left with one conclusion: this was something completely unidentified. Officials have never been able to identify the object or explain its strange behavior. Some believe it could be evidence of extraterrestrial technology, while others think it might be a top-secret military aircraft. Whatever the case may be, I personally believe one thing stands true. There are things outside our world that we can scarcely fathom, things that can bend or even break our perception of truth. Perhaps whatever is out there is merely waiting for the right moment to introduce itself into our world, to the perpetual benefit of mankind, and to lead us into a future of harmony and enlightenment. Or maybe they got a hold of a world history book and they know not to waste their time. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the dark side of humanity continues to fester in the shadows of every street corner. In 2014, 22-year-old Carlisha Freeland Gaither was violently abducted from a Philadelphia sidewalk. The next day, footage of the incident was released to the public. This disturbing video, captured by a nearby business surveillance camera, shows the suspect exiting his vehicle and approaching his victim in what started as a robbery. Carlisha soon realized a dangerous man was on her trail, and the video shows her attempting to escape the attacker before he finally forced her into his car. After 72 hours of being held captive, police located Carlisha alive in a Maryland parking lot with her captor. Her abductor, 37-year-old Delvin Barnes, was indicted for Carlisha's kidnapping and the attempted murder of a 16-year-old girl just weeks before Carlisha's abduction. Considering that serial offenders of this kind tend to only grow more violent and deadly with practice, investigators believe Carlicia may have narrowly escaped becoming Delvin's first victim, and they potentially saved an unknowable number of lives after that point. This is a clear instance of a camera catching something frightening and saving lives for it. Our next video is every parent's worst nightmare. In 2021, a man ambushed an unsuspecting mother and her 3 young children in Queens, New York. Seemingly out of nowhere, the man burst out of his car and rushed toward the children as they walked alongside their mother. From there, he snatched up a 5-year-old boy in front of his mother's eyes and hurried back to the car. The boy's mother and siblings immediately struggled to get into the vehicle through an open window, desperately trying to pull the boy back out. Finally, just before the car sped off, the boy managed to break free and land back in the safety of his mother's arms, right where he belonged. But not everyone is lucky enough to escape the clutches of evil. Our next video captures the beginning and end of one of the most outrageously terrifying events ever recorded. On May 24th, 2012, the city of Montreal awoke to the news of the likes of which words like heinous and brutal fall tragically short of describing. It was so grotesque, in fact, that you've probably heard about it, and I've mentioned it before on my channel. The victim, Chinese exchange student Jun Lin, had been savagely killed and his body brutally dismembered. Surveillance footage captured Lin as he unsuspectingly entered his killer's apartment. On May 25th, 2012, an 11-minute video titled "1 Lunatic, 1 Ice Pick" made its way to the dark recesses of the internet. In the video, a naked male, later identified as Jun Lin, is tied to a bed frame. Then, without warning, he's brutally stabbed with an ice pick before being sexually assaulted and dismembered by none other than Luca Rocco Magnotta. Magnotta, who was born Eric Clinton Kirk Newman, was a failed Canadian model, escort, stripper, and actor who turned into a murderer. At one point in the video, Magnotta even cuts off some of Jun Lin's flesh and feeds it to a dog. But more than that, Magnotta only further proves his deranged nature when he, too, consumes pieces of Jun Lin. Just hours after the vile act, surveillance footage captures Magnotta yet again. This time, he's alone, carrying garbage bags. He walks into his apartment lobby, drops the bags, and calmly walks away. Inside those garbage bags were what was left of Jun Lin. The following day, a package containing one of Jun Lin's hands was delivered to Ottawa's Conservative Party of Canada headquarters. A second package, this one containing Lin's foot, was later discovered at a postal facility. On May 29th, a maintenance worker found Lin's torso in a suitcase outside Magnotta's apartment building. Later that day, police found Lin's head near a lake. Police arrested Magnotta on June 4th, 2012, in an internet cafe in Berlin, Germany. He was caught while reading news articles about himself, and he showed no remorse for his crimes. This is one many have likely heard, but as far as terrifying videos go, it's always remained one of the most frightening, so it's earned its place here. While some videos help us uncover the truth behind terrifying events, others only leave us with more questions than answers. Our next video captures the bone-chilling final moments before one of the strangest unsolved deaths of all time. In February of 2013, the body of Elisa Lam was discovered in a water tank on top of Hotel Cecil in Los Angeles. The discovery came after guests at the hotel complained about dark, foul-tasting water and poor water pressure. Investigators ruled Lam's death an accidental drowning, but her case has remained highly suspect due to the strange footage captured just minutes before she disappeared. And also due to the fact that the roof and the water tank were both supposedly inaccessible, and that the water tank would have been practically impossible for Elisa Lam to climb into by herself. Hotel security footage from that day shows Lam acting strangely in the hotel's elevator, pressing all of the buttons and peeking out into the hallway as though frightened of someone following her inside. It's still unclear how and why Elisa Lam ended up dead the way that she did, but there are many theories. Some believe she was being hunted by someone who wished to harm her. Some believe that a member of the hotel staff was personally after her. Some believe she was having a schizophrenic episode and was likely off of her medication at the time. What we know for sure, though, is that the footage captured just before her death remains one of the most frightening videos ever recorded. But there's a lot more behind Elisa Lam's infamous case that makes it much, much more frightening. Coincidences that you wouldn't believe are true, but are. If you'd like to know more, check out my video Scariest Deaths That'll Keep You Up at Night, where I explain the most disturbing details of this case. It's linked in the description below. Our last video is that of a different kind, a news clip from 2010 which shows how even our brightest, happiest moments can twist and become terrifying before you even know what's going on. And it may leave you a little extra paranoid the next time you have a sore throat. It's every parent's dream to bring a healthy baby into the world, and that's what Al and Katie Hayes did in February of 2010. They delivered their daughter Ariel right inside their Houston area home. The birth was described as uneventful and normal. Katie was fit and healthy, living an active lifestyle. The days that followed their daughter's birth were normal too. Katie was sore, which was understandable, but otherwise she generally felt fine. What the Hayes didn't know, however, was that a terrible nightmare was in the making, which would change their lives forever. The soreness that Katie experienced grew worse. Memories blurred. Time was lost. The next thing Katie knew, she was waking up in the hospital entirely unaware of what was going on. She was shocked to discover that her little Ariel, who had been only days old, was now weeks old. But that was far from the worst of it. The disturbing news segment explains what happened.
She was unconscious the entire time, unaware that a common strep A infection had set in and was eating away at her body, unaware of the incredibly difficult decision her husband made to amputate her arms and legs in the hopes of maybe saving her life.
As the clip explains, Katie had contracted Group A strep, an infection from bacteria that oftentimes results in a painful throat infection called strep throat, something many of us are familiar with. But it also can attack the body through many other means, such as through a cut. The bacteria became flesh-eating, and Katie's arms and legs began to blister and shed flesh. Doctors told Al that the likelihood of her surviving was less than 5%, as the infection also ravaged her internally and caused multiple organ failure. But because of Al's decision and dedication to Katie, he made the impossibly difficult decision to have her limbs amputated. Miraculously, it saved her life. For countless people, this news segment is pure paranoia fuel, and will leave them wondering over every scrape and unexplained pain, every sore throat, whether there is something much, much worse on the way for them. Thank you for watching. I appreciate anyone who takes a quick moment to try out Hero Wars linked below. It's helping me out immensely. And I've already got more content in production for you right now. So please be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications because you won't want to miss it. I'm Rob Gavigan. Watch the shadows and stay alive out there.